ready. Two. 1, 2, 3, 4. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts, who changes the things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts. I have the power to change my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts, who changes the things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts. I have the power to change my life. If you ask me who am I am wisdom, I am light, I am more than meets the eye. I cannot be defined. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts, who changes the things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts. I have the power to change my life. If you ask me who am I am beauty, I am joy, I am more than meets the eye. I cannot be defined. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts, who changes the things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts. I have the power to change my life. I can choose to be the light, to brighten someone's darkest night. I am more than meets the eye. I cannot be defined. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts, who changes the things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts. I have the power to change my life. I have the power to change my life. I have the power to change my life.
Yes. So no joke, yesterday I had that song running through my mind all day, and I had no idea that they were going to play it this morning. So we have the power to be connected in spirit too, don't we? Thank
Isn't
you
it
so
true?
much. So my name is Dana Zaylor. It's my honor and privilege to be here with you. And I would like to, first, let's thank the musicians. Can we have another round of applause for them, please? So they're the ones that really get us going in the morning. I really appreciate that. So let's thank, too, our media team. So Byron and Wayne back in the back, thank you so much. So those of you who are joining us online, I want to honor and let you know that we know you're here. We just acknowledge that we are one in spirit. So thank you for being with us. Today, Reverend Steve's message is Your Secret Yearning. All right, so let's just, I think we're going to start off with a sing-along, so take it away.
Sing along, yay. Well, I'm going to do the verse, but you will know when it's your time to come in on the chorus, and we'll do the chorus 3 times. There was a time in my life I thought I'd have to do it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know that love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go. Let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for one more time for good measure. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I'll see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
What a powerful invitation it is. I let go, and I let God. Isn't that what we want to do in our lives, is to realize that there is a time and a place for believing that we have to do it all, right? And in some cases, it's very real that we do, and some we don't. I forgot you were coming up here. So used to. And but anyway, the music is a way to get our attention. And so let's say we believe that we've been got. The music got us.
It opens our heart.
It opens our hearts and our minds. And so your souls are welcome here. There's a lot going on at Unity Center of Divine Love and Light, and we're going to be reviewing a few things, some of our beliefs and so on. As you probably noticed, we have a tweak in the normal routine of a service, the order of service, the process of unfolding. And so we're doing some things that's all firmly etched in the flow, firmly etched in sugar-free Jell-O. Stay tuned, it may be changed any moment. And so anyway, the next slide, we're going to be looking at our vision and our mission and our vision. Part of what we're doing here, since I'm here as your transitional interim pastor, minister, we're taking a look at what are our beliefs, some of the beliefs that we have here at the Unity Center, Unity North. And what is it that really gets us going? And so in researching what you have as far as a mission and vision statement, here's what we've come up with.
So just a cue, our mission statement is up above you here, touching hearts and transforming lives. So can we just say that together? Touching hearts and transforming lives.
And see that I came across this image online on the left side of the screen. If you see it, it's really very powerful. That the idea is that we are here to make a difference on the planet. And how do we do that? Well, one is life begins either inward or outward, or what about this concept of oneness, that we're all one in the thought that our heart is always forever seeking expression in and through us. And so individually and together, we come here to share what's in our hearts. And then as we do so, we may not be aware of how we are transforming lives. But what about starting with ourselves? In what way has Unity Center of Divine Love and Light and other places where you have been called to dive into your beliefs and spirituality, in what ways has your life been transformed? And this might be a question that this statement answers. When the more of us come together and we align and we say, this is our mission, and everything that we do here has to be aligned with that. And so let's talk about, one of the things we had this transition team meeting, and last week I was saying, I really haven't seen a vision statement yet for Unity Center of Divine Love and Light. And so let's talk about that.
So right, yeah. So I looked on our own church website, which has been recently redone if you haven't seen it lately. But anyway, the statement was on our church website. It says, offering a positive path for spiritual living. And so for right now, that's what we're kind of offering up as our vision statement. And we'll be coming together soon to talk about that and to recreate what comes forth from our community.
And Dana, you've been around long enough to realize that the vision that we have is something that an entire community, like a church, has to at some point say, this is exactly what we say and what we envision. Overall, why are we here? And so the vision is what, and the mission is how. And so one of the things that I'm here for, that we will be looking in September, we have more of that is coming, in September. We're going to have a session for the entire community where we're going to be talking about, okay, what is our mission and our vision, and is there any changes we want to make? And then in addition, we will be looking for what are the values that this ministry, this church holds very dearly. Beliefs sometimes change easily. A core value, we call them core values, doesn't really change. So part of what we'll be doing is discovering and rediscovering the core values of this place. So you might be putting that in your thoughts. And so the next one. And so spiritual nuggets, we'd love to take a moment to say, remind us of what Unity teaches and believes. And for those of us that are fairly new, this might be new for you. But I have this thing that I got from someone that I was going through some real difficult times once. And yes, it was when I was a minister. I've been a minister for a while, but there are times when life seems to flow and when I'm aware that I put my barriers to awareness of the life flowing. Since when are you not worthy of God's unconditional love? Now, remember, if somebody said, you are worthy of unconditional love, quite often the most common response to people, even those that have been around Unity a lot, and especially on days where we're wallowing in the absence of our awareness of love's presence, that we don't believe we're worthy. And that relates to, as you probably know, low self-esteem is one of the major calls for healing on the planet, of people that are growing up not feeling really worthy. We feel on top of things, and all of a sudden something comes up. The same old. Maybe it's a person or whatever. And then, since when are you not worthy of loving yourself unconditionally? Of God's love. So are you worthy of God's love as you understand your higher power spirit, the Christ, the universal spirit, Buddha, whatever you call your higher power? And whatever thing you say that the spirit called God does. So that's an example of what we teach here. You're all about love. All about love.
Thank you. All right. So at this time of our service, I'm going to invite you all to just envision this planet, envision this world is in peace. So as you hold that thought, I invite you to share in Unity's statement for peace together. Unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many paths for God. The many paths for God, and the many ways to worship God. For there is one power, presence of God, and that God loves each one of us equally. It is therefore the position of unity to urge all nations, their leaders, and their people to turn to God by whatever name for guidance during these difficult times, and to pursue peace, not war. For this is what honors the God of all of our faith traditions. Thank you.
And as you see this next image, just allow your eyes to go soft as you glare at it, and you open your heart and mind to realizing the symbol of humanity embracing the blue marble, embracing our physical home in peace. so it is. And so it shall be.
is.
And now we move into a tradition that I love that this ministry has been doing for several years. And a lot of you have understood that the greeting, the traditional greeting, Hindu greeting of Namaste, one way it's translated it is the God in me honors and greets the God in you, or the divine in me honors and greets the divine in you, believing that within all of us is the divine. And so what we do here, in a moment we're going to invite everyone to stand if you wish, and to do a nonverbal greeting with your heart wide open, your eyes soft and open and expressing the spirit within you. And as you not only, and those of you online, we aren't able to physically see you, but we know you. We know that you are with us. And hold people in your mind that also may be calling for you to recognize the divinity in them as you recognize the divinity in you. And so as we recognize the divinity in ourselves, let us stand and also see it in others as we say Namaste. So it is. We have a time in our service where we hear the daily word, and we hear some soft piano music that is calling us at the heart level as I read the daily word, and then as we move into a time of personal and community prayer and meditation. So as I read the daily word, the word for today is renew. We join hundreds of thousands of people around the world in this very moment as they are joining in reading the daily word. The word is renew. I am restored by the Spirit of God within me. Let's affirm that aloud. I am restored by the Spirit of God within me. Renewal is part of the rhythm of daily life. Eating and drinking to nourish and replenish our body, resting to quiet my mind, sleeping after a day of activity are all ways to renew ourselves. But sometimes these efforts aren't quite enough to sustain me. At times I feel drained at depth. I may need spiritual renewal when I feel drained at depth. But sometimes these efforts aren't quite enough to sustain me. At times when I feel drained at depth, I may need spiritual renewal. God, the one presence and power, is with me always. But it is up to me to keep my awareness of God strong. When I awaken, I say a prayer of blessing for what the day will bring, for what the tomorrow will bring. Throughout the day, I feel God's presence all around me. When I prepare for sleep, I say, thank you, God. Let's say a prayer of deep gratitude for all the day, for everything that happened during this day. In God, I am renewed moment by moment, day by day. And from 2 Corinthians, we look not at what can be seen, but at what cannot be seen. For what can be seen is temporary, but what cannot be seen is eternal. And so, as we affirm again the renew affirmation you see in the screen. Let's affirm together. I am restored by the Spirit of God within me. And with individuals in your life that you have, that you want to hold in prayer, see that they are renewed also by the Spirit of God within them. And if we do the previous slide one more time, Byron, the previous slide, and we want to, even before that, one more, no, well, okay, I thought it was there. This is a time of personal and community prayer. And so we can put the meditation slide back up. And the meditation is going to be in a moment, but now we're adding a new segment called prayer, individual prayer and community prayer. And at this time, if you would search your heart and your mind for a message that you are to hold yourself and or other people in prayer, this might be the time for you to remember them. For in a moment, we're going to have an opportunity for everybody that wants to whisper very softly the first name of a person that you're holding in prayer, which you include yourself. And it doesn't matter whether we physically hear what someone is saying during this time. It's that we, at the level of consciousness, we know, at the heart level, we do know. And so I want to offer information about two people in our congregation that have had a health challenge recently. Reverend Chris Broderhausen had a situation when she was on vacation with Rich, and she's fine. And she'll be there had planned to be there five weeks with family and friends. And she is doing fine. Chris is doing fine. And Danielle's mom, Debbie, is that right? Is doing fine also. She had a health challenge in the family. And so we take a deep breath. Release those folks and all the names you may hear or come to you intuitively. You may not say anything. You may wish to not even say a word. Or if you wish to whisper the first name of someone, everyone will just, regardless, right in this very moment, we know that Spirit is here, in, as, and through all of us in this time of prayer. As we take a deep breath, we release our affirmations, our prayers. Our thoughts are prayers, and therefore we are always praying. And so we affirm the highest and best for everyone that we've been placing our heart and mind on. And now we move into a time of deep meditation, where I invite you to hear the words that I am about to share to be your own if you wish. Moving into a place where we know that Spirit is here. Spirit is now. With a deep breath. Oh yes, we let go. I let go. I let go. I let Spirit move in and through me. Spirit as seeking expression through me. Yes, there is a place within me where the presence and power of Spirit forever dwells. There's a place in me that knows that all is well in me and as me. And as I consider the individuals that I've and holding in thought and in prayer. And for those that I know that somewhere on the planet there's people having some pain challenges, that beyond what appears to be the reality, there is a place of perfect peace. The level of our soul that is eternal. The level of soul where we have our consciousness that is unlimited. And where we meet and greet others in a sense of oneness. There's no separation from those individuals we've been holding in prayer. For they are not a body. We are not a body. We are not a body. We are as God created us to be. A level of spirit, eternal. And with a deep breath. Releasing the deep breath might be symbolic of letting go of beliefs that no longer serve us. Any thoughts that are not of love are but a call for love. And we move deeply into the pure stillness. The stillness of love in the silence, in the stillness. I invite you to return your awareness to this place of love and joy. In a place where there is commitment to transforming lives. Where there's a commitment to being open and receptive at the heart level to you, to everyone in your life. And as we return our awareness to this space, we see ourselves in a place where we are loved unconditionally. And we have an awareness, perhaps a renewed, deeper awareness of ourselves as a bringer of light, a bringer of love, of joy to the planet. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen.
You have a choice this morning. You have a choice today. You could go on acting just as you have, or maybe could find a new way. What if there were no limitations on what you could think, act, or do? Would you be content just to putter along, or would you attempt something new? I submit then for you to consider that you have vast untapped reserved, and you and the world would both benefit greatly and certainly be better served if you could but throw off the limits you've made. Let your mind and your dreaming range free. I believe that it's true. Yes, I'm speaking to you. You could live new possibilities. I can take a dream, any little dream, and imagine that it could really be. I can decorate it any way I'd like to see it done. The only one it has to please is me. Whether it's to change the world or just to change my mind, just to dream the dream will set me free. My world will be a better place. You'll see it by my smiling face. I'll be living in possibility. If God has the power and shares it with you, it's almost unlimited what you can do. An open heart will let ideas and love flow in. Possibilities will begin. I can take a dream, any little dream, and imagine that it could really be. I can decorate it any way I'd like to see it done. The only one it has to please is me. Whether it's to change the world or just to change my mind, just to dream the dream will set me free. My world will be a better place. You'll see it by my smiling face. I'll be living in possibility. I'll be living in possibility.
Thank you, Uni folks. You have an amazing gift to us. And you know, one thing that's so powerful about music, music is such a powerful pathway to the heart. Just music by itself. And then if you add lyrics to it and words that have some meaning, what a combination that is. And then what a combination it is when we have three people here today that have an incredible heart that is full of transforming possibility. And you know what? Yes, every Sunday is just amazing. And possibility would suggest that we believe that we are in a flow. Do you believe that you're in a flow of life? That life is happening, flowing to and from you, or is it happening to you? And there's not many possibilities because this is really what it is. For example, in 2 Corinthians, we heard a quote this morning, what we see with our human eyes, we sometimes believe is absolutely all that there is. Well, there's no other possibilities. What do you mean? But then what if you get other people together? I'm hearing a heck of an echo. But maybe it's just me. No, I'm fine? I'll go with this flow, huh? The flow is. It is. You give me a sign if I'm doing something wrong. Okay. And it's like, if we're in the flow, then we're really open to amazing possibilities. And for example, one thing, and I've heard this song before many times. I love it. And in the flow of possibilities, I think of being in meetings when somebody has a suggestion, like some words, something that's written, and you have a group of people and you want to get together and maybe take another look and see if there's any other options. Maybe we didn't, if we use the concept of flow and possibility, it might make it easier. But you know what wordsmithing is like in a group? the beauty of that is, the intention is, everybody has something to give, and as we listen from the heart to one another, guess what? Other possibilities are going to unfold that we never even thought of. And inevitably, if we take the time and listen, then what will be reborn and recreated is much more powerful. And the group has an aha moment when they say, oh yes, this is what it should be like. You've all been there, you know what that's like. And the opposite of that is, well, sometimes people have a real attachment the way they see it, the way they believe it, or the way they want to, or the way they project onto it. And so they're pretty insistent that there's only one way of doing this or believing it and seeing it. And so you're in that experience, and you have something that's calling you. There's a yearning in you to say, I could see peace instead of this. That's what A Course in Miracles invites us to. I could choose peace instead of this. And why are we going round and round in this? How about this at the exponential level of politics? I mean, really, don't we get tired of that? But what is the yearning that we have that's really sort of beneath all that? Part of it is what we see, and what we really know is another lens of viewing what seems to be so real out there. And too often, we're not willing to pay attention to our inside still small voice, because we're giving our power away to this present moment the way we understand it. But what if all things were possible? All things are possible for those who believe. Well, believe in what? Believe the way I do, or you do? Sometimes that's quite often the tagline. Yes, all things are possible, but not with this, because look at what that is. Or that I'm still stuck with not believing that all things are possible, and what is inside me that is seeking some expression to move me off of this. And so one time, I began to realize that I was at a stuck point. And you know, you've heard me say this multiple times. You read it. It's not just new. It's not new to Unity or to me. That if it's not love, it's a call for love. If it's fear, it's a call for the expression of love. If there's fear in you, or you see it in others, it have to be in you. You wouldn't see it in others because we're all one. Then it's an expression. It's a call for love. And so in some ways, that's a very powerful concept. Or one is also, it can be rather frightening, and it may be like, well, wow. But the secret yearning, I believe, is most powerful on the planet, is to return our awareness to the reality of love's presence. And so what gets in the way of our realizing that, hey, there must be something better than this, what I'm seeing right now, what I'm dwelling on, what keeps coming up in my life, and it doesn't seem to go away. And part of that might be, what I want to focus on for a while, is what I call Ho'oponopono. I did not create this. Ancient Hawaiian healing practice. And it's about forgiveness. Starting with yourself, recognizing that the call for you, there's a yearning for you. If there's something that keeps coming up for you, are you just noticing it and in denial and pushing it away, saying there's no way this can change? Another way of saying that, there's no way that I'm willing to look at possibility, or that I'm willing looking at, I could choose again and see myself, see them differently. So the story that I've shared quite often, it's part of who I am. Back in the 80s, I got transferred from a job I had in LA. This was pre-Unity, before I even heard of Unity. And I got transferred to Honolulu, to Hawaii. And I was there 8 years in a time that totally transformed my life. Talk about touching hearts. The Hawaiian people and their culture and the beliefs and the Aina, the land, is just something just beyond words in so many ways. And it's beautiful. It's forever with me. And as I was there later on, I discovered unity. Someone in the group I was with was saying, "Yeah, check out Unity, Steve. Sounds like your beliefs would be." Oh yeah, they would. Oh wow. David McClure was the mentor minister, and his wife Donna were there. They became pivotal people in my life. So you know what happens in life when there's something that's up and up. It's a pivot time. It's pivot from, oh, this is what thought I was headed towards. I knew I was doing this and so on and so on. In my case, I had enough degrees. I'm never going to go to school again. And through unity, I decided Spirit had something else in mind. And yet I had to do some deep forgiveness work for myself and for family and things that were saying that I'm not worthy. How could I possibly do any of that? And as I began to learn about the Hawaiian culture, when I first, you see the word ho'oponopono. The next screen, please. Is it up there? Yeah, ho'oponopono. I remember for years, I wouldn't even bother to try to say the word. Now imagine that. Living in possibility. It's possible. And I'm not asking for a raise of hands here. How many of you think that you're stumbling across the word and you just don't bother to say it, or you mumble it? Oh, blah, 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 blah. And so I understand that. But and so I didn't get the full power and the history and the vibes and the tradition of this practice until I decided I was going to learn this. It's not rocket science, so here's how it goes. You know, when you don't look at the word now, just look at me, forget the word, because it'll come to you. You know, if I was up here with that glass of water on the floor, and I was to spill it, and I said, uh-oh, like a child would spill something, they say, uh-oh. Say uh-oh with me. Uh-oh. With louder. Uh-oh. 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 And then add pono-pono. Uh-oh, pono-pono. Uh-oh, pono-pono. Now change the uh-oh to ho. Uh-oh. Take a breath. Uh-oh, pono-pono. Uh-oh, pono-pono. See, there's two ponos up there. Uh-oh, pono-pono. Say it again. Uh-oh, pono-pono. Uh-oh, pono-pono. Uh-oh. Take an in-breath. Uh-oh, pono-pono. Uh-oh, pono-pono. You said it. One more time, we'll say it together. 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh, pono-pono. Uh-oh, pono-pono. Okay. So, and again, at one level, your intention transcends all the challenges we have in the Western world of anything other than English. So, I get that. But the powerful part of this is what the ancient practices of families were in Hawaii and still is. And for individuals that have taken this very simple but profound concept into their lives and into their work. And I know that you, Dana, you and I have talked about this and your work with prisons as a prison service, as a ministry, sacred service. What you're doing there is beautiful, beautiful work that is, as you know. And if you have any words you want to comment on this, jump up and join me on this. And because I've taught some of this in prisons. And some of the research has been, it's very, very simple. Each line that you see there's two different ways of doing it. And there's no one way of, which of those do you say first? I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Or I love you, I'm sorry, I forgive you, thank you. Does the order matter? I don't think so. What matters is what your heart says. I decided I would make, when I use it for myself, I put love first. On the other hand, it doesn't matter. But what's important is, quite often, one time I was teaching this, and this one person said, well, it's really important that you also always you say this for yourself as well as someone else, or something external to yourself. Now, why would we do that? You heard the theory of projection. That life is 100% projection. That what you see out there is totally co-created or created by you and by me and together and by humanity throughout the eons and all this together and spirit. That there's no way that we are separate from what we see out there. And that becomes very true with another person. If we're talking about other people, and maybe you've had somebody in mind as I've been talking, it might be good if you do, because in a moment we're going to do an exercise for you to experiment with that. Somebody that you feel called to do some Ho'oponopono work with, or some healing work with. And whether you ever find out the impact, you'll know in your heart. And so, what's important is we start with either whichever is the most challenging for you. You might find as you work with doing it for someone else, seeing them or even saying these words to them, and that there's a significant change, then you might be more willing to say it to yourself, especially the, I'm sorry, please forgive me. And how about maybe even I love you. I remember one time I was doing some ongoing therapy, which I've done most of my life. And the therapist said, Steve, well, you're pretty slick with your words and so on, but I think at a deep level you don't really love yourself. And I said, bullshit. Pardon my language. Oh, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Embarrassment suppressed joy, so that's enough of that. So, and I may have shared this before, but it's really relevant to the part of the journey of learning to unconditionally love yourself and others. Because I can't love others unconditionally unless I've been there with myself. And so I took what this therapist told me, and I created a mirror technique. And I invite you, if you haven't done it yet or ever, make it a regular one for you. Don't do this while you're driving, looking in your rearview mirror. That's not. You can tell the officer, I was just forgiving myself. No. But take some time, turn your phone off, get a place where you're not going to be disturbed, and maybe even if you need to get real serious about it, put a timer on it. You're going to do this for 5 minutes? That might seem impossible. But just look at yourself, and maybe you begin by saying it aloud. Look at yourself in the mirror. Look, eye contact as only you can have eye contact with yourself. You know when you've done it. You also know when you don't, as well as other people do too. So you take some time. This is for yourself, a gift to yourself. Do nothing but repeat those 3 words. And then you have to add your name to it. In my case, I love you, Steve. I love you, Steve. My experience with that, first time I did it was, I sort of kissed it off. I thought, I can do this. No big deal. Then I began to walk away, and then I said, no, I think I'll go back and try to keep going. And I kept going. At one point, some stuff came up. I stayed with it. Is it possible that you can say those 3 words while you're in the midst of an incredible tear burst, anger burst, like an incredible pain? Yes, it is. And so it's a release of sorts. It's a return home, returning to awareness of who you truly are. So that's part of what love is. And so the belief is that you may not be aware of, at the level of humanity that you're in right now, of what's going on with someone else. Or you may be focusing only on their behavior or lack thereof. Whatever the reason is that you have someone that you want to be going and experience the Ho'oponopono with, the why question isn't as important as what your actions are. So if you decide you're going to do something with someone, that person doesn't have to be physically present in the space that you're in as a start. It could be someone that has made the transition, they've already passed over. And that you still have some residue of unfinished business, we might say. Doesn't matter what it is. And some deep, deep pain. And this isn't going to be necessarily one and done. On the other hand, the miracle stories I've experienced and I've seen and heard others is incredibly powerful when you least expect it. And so here's an invitation for you. It's a spirit in action step. If you have a camera, you want to take a picture of this so you can come up with the steps so you won't remember them. It's amazing. I couldn't even pronounce the word, and I couldn't even always remember the 4 steps. I mean, those steps are not rocket science. And so I was really resisting it, big time out of this. I was resisting the hell out of it. I didn't want to. And so, what is it? So if you're willing to do some taking this and using it in your life, starting with yourself, and it can become a habit. It takes 24 days, they say, to create a new habit. Science suggests that. And so, are you willing to, for 24 days, let's kick it up to 30 days. Every day, you're going to pay attention to, is there something calling for Ho'oponopono? And keep on stumbling towards using the word, whatever. At some point, you get used to it. You can't do it wrong. And is there something you're willing to do? And you can add that to a ritual for yourself. And it can be silent. It's quite often words have creative power, physical words. And if that person is someone in your life, you might want to do it on your own. And then if they're close enough, you might want to say, well, I've been reading up on something. This is not the first time. How many of you have heard of Ho'oponopono before today? Yeah, but it's not new. And so perhaps practicing it is. Or perhaps practicing it and putting it in action with somebody else is new too. But so the yearning is to, I could see peace instead of this. I choose love instead of this. And so that's why we are gathered today in this place where we touch lives and we transform spirit, life in you. And that there's a way that your life is always transformed. And there's a way that you are touching at the heart level everyone. And so your secret yearning is really not a secret. You know that. God bless you. Song we're about to hear. There's a beautiful story for me to it. This song has lots of verses to it, and they're all really powerful, a lesson in their own right. And this song called Spirit. My older brother Frank was he was 18 months older than I, and he passed Sunday last year. And he was a Presbyterian minister for like 35 years, whatever, and in a small town in Georgia. And when we grew up, he never had any musical inclinations, apparently. And I was the one that played the piano a bit, but he didn't. And one time, I was visiting him in Georgia, and we went to a Sunday church service of his, a small church. And he was singing, and the congregation was singing a song that's in the Presbyterian hymnal. And it really, really struck me. The words, the lyrics were very, very powerful. But what really struck me, at a deep level of love, I shall never forget it, my brother Frank started to sing out with a deep baritone voice, and he could be heard everywhere. He didn't need microphones. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. And so we sung this several times. He sung this several times, and I introduced it where I've been. And a couple of times he visited me where I was doing Unity Church, and we would sing it at Unity Church, and Frank would sing it too. And so this is a very, very powerful song. It's flowing. The possibilities are in it. And so as we realize that as we open our hearts to being touched by Spirit, that we are also transforming our other lives. And these words may do it. And not to worry that you have to sing really as loud as my brother did, because I don't, but just know that it's a very powerful song for your spirit.
And you're welcome. I think we have the words, Byron. You're welcome to sing with us. Spirit of gentleness, flow through the wilderness, calling and free. Spirit of restlessness, stir me from placidness. Wind on the sea. You moved on the waters, you called to the deep, then you coaxed up the mountains from the valleys of sleep. And over the eons, you called to each thing. Awake from your slumbers and rise on your wings. Spirit of gentleness, blow through the wilderness, calling and free. Spirit of restlessness, stir me from placidness. Wind on the sea. You swept through the desert, you stung with the sand, and you gifted your people with a law and a land. And when they were blinded with their idols and lies, then you spoke through your prophets to open their eyes. Spirit of gentleness, blow through the wilderness, calling and free. Spirit of restlessness, stir me from placidness. Wind on the sea. You sang in a steeple, you cried from a hill, then you whispered in silence when the whole world was still. And down in the city, you called once again when you blew through your people on the rush of the wind. restlessness, stir me from placidness. Wind, wind on the sea. You call from tomorrow, you break ancient schemes from the bondage of sorrow. The captives dream dreams, our worries in visions, our men clear their eyes with bold new decisions. Your people arise. Spirit, spirit of gentleness, blow through the wilderness, calling and free. Spirit, spirit of restlessness, stir me from placidness. Wind, wind on the sea.
Thank you, thank you, thank
Beautiful.
you. Mahalo, Kante. So we have some announcements.
Yes, thank you. So we're kind of changing our service. We're doing the announcements now before the ties. Okay.
We didn't tell Doug that we're changing the order of service. Sorry, Doug.
Yeah.
So the love offering is going to come in a later time.
Well,
Okay.
he can
want me to
collect
do
money
this up to
twice.
Yeah.
That's always
We're
good.
doing the announcement, yes.
Yeah, we could pass it twice. Okay, so update on the transition team. So we have met, we're actually planning a wonderful gathering in September. So if you would be willing to put that date on your calendar, September 9th, 8th and 9th, Friday evening and Saturday, where we're going to be revisiting our mission and values, and we're going to be basically creating our future together. So we hope you'll all participate in that. So are you wanting me to read that?
Yes. And the prayer team created this transition prayer affirmation during this time of change. So let's affirm this as we go forth through the transition time. Together,
Okay,
we
together we
embrace
embrace
divine inspiration, guiding us to manifest the highest good for our community as we co-create our future.
Yeah, I can't read it from here. Thank you for filling in the blanks there. Okay, so this Thursday we have a movie night again. This is a joint with our brothers and sisters at Unity Spiritual Center on the south side. And so this is the last of their movie nights for this month, and they're going to be offering the movie The Shack. How many of you have read that book or seen the movie? It's a wonderful, inspiring movie of healing and loss. And anyway, that's at 6:30 on Thursday, and they're going to be providing popcorn, refreshments, and a little conversation after. So feel free to join in that.
And then we have a classic Unity text. How many of you have taken a class of I, the Storm, Gary Simmons' book? And how many have read the book?
I have.
Okay. Well, this is an incredible book for those that are wanting to find ways to create more peace in your life. And we're having 4 Wednesdays next month that Dana and I have had some experience in teaching this book and so on. Do you want to say something about it?
Sure, yeah, so it's 4 consecutive Wednesdays starting on August the 9th, which is 2 weeks from this coming Wednesday. It is being offered for a love offering, and we do need to have people sign up. There's a sign up outside the door here because we need to order books for everyone. So it's really going to be the format of a book study, and there's a lot of real interactive exercises, and The tagline of this book is embracing conflict and creating peace. So who has ever imagined that conflict could be creating peace? If that's a foreign concept to you, as it was for me, I really invite you to take this class. It's life transforming.
It's awesome. It's wonderful. And we encourage all leaders, all people that are members or not. There's also a flyer out on the table in the foyer if you'd like to take a flyer home with you. It has more information on it. So the next event coming up is an overview of Unity history and teachings, and it's a membership pathway. For those of you that would think you're ready to join Unity here, or you're wanting to take another look at what does this Unity believe, what does the Unity movement believe, what are some of the core teachings, there are 3 Wednesdays in September 10, 17, and 24.
They're actually Sundays. It's after service
Sundays,
on Sunday.
that's right.
3 Sundays in September. So this is really for anybody who wants to kind of have a renewal of what is it that Unity teaches. We'll be talking about our church history here too, as well as the Unity history, which began in the late 1800s. And it's going to be right following services in Sunday, starting on can you read that, 16th?
Yeah.
September 16th.
Yeah, September 10, 17, and 24.
Oh, the 10th, excuse me. All right, this one. In September also, we are going to be hosting basically a family yard sale for us, all y'all families. So if you have things that you no longer need or no longer using, feel free to bring that to the church. And I think Danielle's actually in charge of that if you want to talk to her, but we are going to be needing volunteers as well.
And thank you, Danielle. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. And so she's actually willing to come and pick things up in advance. So if you have things that you want to gather up ahead of time, that makes it a lot easier for them to do the setup. So please consider what those things are.
And here's a thought for those of you that are like me, that I look through stuff and say, oh, I don't want to give that away. But then how about reframing it was, instead of this calling it a yard sale, it's a circulation event. That we've got what we've wanted so far out of this, and it's meant a lot to us. Don't we want to circulate it to others and make them, and who are we to judge whether or not they might want it? You'd be surprised what people would take or want. And so it's a circulation time, the community circulation yard sale.
So one thing, for instance, that I've discovered, that I have a whole closet full. I have a big kind of a jewelry armoire, and I have a lot of jewelry that I don't wear anymore. It's lovely, and it served its purpose for me, but since I don't have to go to work anymore, there's a lot of that I really have no use for. So jewelry is a small thing. It's something that a lot of people desire, and it's kind of nice to get a new ornamentation for yourself. So even looking in the small little crevices of your shelves, you might find something that might be a blessing to somebody else. So yeah, let us know. Daniel will pick it up, or someone else will pick it up, and we'd be happy to have it. So thank you in advance for thinking of that.
And I think that is it. There is something coming up that you'll be hearing from the board about a special dinner, a special breakfast. We're not going to announce that today, but it's on the way. You'll be hearing something that's going to be a lot of fun. So just stay tuned.
All right.
And the next slide is, there we go. And Doug?
All right, so yeah, we'll be passing the basket for those of you who haven't already gotten it. And so this is a time to be thinking, if you're joining us on live stream, thinking about those gifts you'd like to share with this ministry, and the instructions are on the slide. Thank you.
Growing love, we forever grow in love. It's a seed that we can sow without caring it will grow. We are family, we are friends, and the feeling never ends. Together we're forever growing love. We seek the sunshine, we bless the rain. Through the storms we know the sun will shine again. We have God light we can sow without caring it will grow. We are family, we are friends, and the feeling never ends. Together we're forever growing love. We imagine a world at peace, and we know someday our dreams will be released. Well, all we ask is that people care. We sing this song for people everywhere. Growing love, we're forever growing love. It's a seed that we can sow without caring it will grow. We are family, we are friends, and the feeling never ends. Together we're forever growing love. Together we're forever growing love. Together we're forever growing love.
Yes. Thank you, and thank you, Doug. I'm sorry about the mix-up on that. All right, so we're going to bless our offerings with our offering statement. Please join me in this together. Divine love in, through, and as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Amen. All right, so it's time to welcome in the kids.
You are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. You are walking in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God.
Welcome. All right, Wendy, do you want to share?
Okay, today we started out with a prayer, and we learned that there was no wrong way to pray, which was important because they thought there was. And we worked on what Kendra was working on, which is cooperation. And one of the things that Kendra said last week is she started to teach the kids about Jesus's disciples, and that excited me very much that the kids were going to learn about the disciples. So we took that a little further. Today, we just did a smattering. We had all the disciples on a paper with all their names and stuff, and then we watched a video about the short 2-minute video about the disciples, and they picked them out on the page. So that was pretty fun. And since we were talking about cooperation, I brought my Bible, and when I opened the front page, I found out that my mother gave me that Bible when I was 15 years old, so it's pretty old, because I am. Well, I'm young. Okay, so, whoops. Okay, it's okay. It doesn't break. It's okay. You didn't mean to do it. Okay. All right. So we did learn a little bit about the disciples today. And Elizabeth, are you going to tell us how many disciples there were? Oh, first of all, this is our microphone that we had in there. It's plastic, not glass. They say they're afraid of the live microphone, so they're going to speak into this. 12. How many disciples? 12 disciples. And what were the first 2 disciples doing when Jesus came up and asked them if they would follow him? Do you remember what they were doing?
Fishing.
Very good. Evan, what did Jesus teach the disciples to do? Can you remember? Pray. Exactly right. And Alicia tells me she's camera shy, and so she didn't want to answer a question. But did you have anything you wanted to add? Okay, don't be sad about that, okay? That's why they call it an accident instead of on purpose. You didn't mean to do it, okay?
We were just talking last week. I was talking with Stephanie. 2 weeks ago with Stephanie about how dangerous this was to have that there. So we will see that doesn't happen again. We're going to move it. So anyway.
Okay, so that's
So
what we
what are
learned
you?
today. They were wonderful as usual, and I had such pleasure working with them today. Thank you. Anybody else have anything to say?
All right, please join with me in saying a blessing for our children together. God loves you and accepts you just the way you are. And I love you and accept you just the way you are. Thank you. All right, so now we're going to join in a circle and we're going to sing the peace song. 1, 2, 3.
For protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Remember, Ho'oponopono. Have a wonderful week. Spirit is rising in and as and through you. So, well,
when my world is not okay, when there's roadblocks